Hey guys, it's Cole and Kelly Watkins with the Bridge Group, and today we're taking it a little bit different direction from real estate and talking about how to work at home with your spouse. Hey guys, welcome back. So like I said before, we are taking this in a completely different direction. And I think it's really, I think it's relevant for right now, especially kind of dealing with COVID, coming out of COVID. So many people are working from home.
Right.
We always get this question, whether it's on listing appointments or from peers in our industry. They're like, oh, wow, you two, y'all work together?
They're like, I'll never be able to do that with my spouse.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, a lot of people have recently had the opportunity or been forced to work with their spouse from home.
Right.
And even if it's not in the same industry or in the same job, you're still working in the same house, under the same roof.
And it has its own challenges, but it also has its own positives and things that are great that come along with it.
Kelly and I, we actually work in the same business and have been
Yes.
for the last 3.5 years together. So, and then we're also going to be talking about just operating in the same space, with your partner, with your spouse on the day-to-day. I know a lot of our friends, a lot of our clients are still, even now, not allowed to go back into the office. Some of them just started going back into the office. It seemed like the divorce rates went up substantially. And I saw stats on that on the news that more people were being divorced, and they were factoring it too, having to stay under the same roof, having to stay with the same person when you typically don't see them for 6, 7, 9 hours out of the entire day. They come home, oh, I missed you.
Yeah.
but working together with them, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't stand you for this long.
A lot of time together.
It is. And even Kelly says that from time to time. But no, I think working together, a couple things. Staying in your lane. I have my responsibilities within our business, and Kelly has her responsibilities. I primarily stick with the agents and coaching, mentoring, training the real estate agents on the team. And Kelly?
Yeah, more operations, marketing side, managing the staff. And we both still have our own buyers and sellers that we work with. So we each have our own lanes in that way as well.
Anytime I start to cross over into her lane, she'll remind me, hey, look, this is my territory here now. And that in a very respectful way, I have to realize, if we blend these two lanes together, that's where fights start to happen. And that's where disagreements and arguments start happening. So, and there are times where we give each other advice on one or the other, and it's taken. But at the same time, being respectful of those lanes and then staying within them, which is a very hard thing to do in the very beginning, has been one of our keys to success.
Well, and there are some decisions that we have to just make together because we both run the business together. And so that really goes to communication, making sure that we're always communicating who we're with, what we're doing, kind of what our plans are, making sure that we're all on the same page with our schedule, but also setting aside time to sit down and talk about those big items that we need to go through, rather than just saying, I just hung up the phone with somebody, hey, what are you doing with this? And then we're focused on something else and we have to completely change direction. So setting those meetings and those times for us to meet together, to have those CEO meetings, things like that, decision-making meetings, I think has been really helpful as well.
Big time. Number 2, cutoff time. Now, I have a natural cutoff time, right? Like when my energy is spent, my attention span is spent, like whenever I am done for the day, and real estate is a very energy taxing, sport. And so there's a time where I'm like, hey, I just can't do anything else. And I'm done, right? Kelly has the endurance of like Michael Phelps or, like an Olympic athlete. And she will just keep going. What we've had to learn working from home together is that it's very easy just to continue working. And so she will take her computer from her office, her home office, and take it to the couch. And we're trying to, spend that time together, catching up, seeing what's going on, completely unwork related. But Kelly would have her laptop out, and I was like, hey, I'm jealous. I want the attention now. So we had to have a cutoff time for work, because at the house it can easily blend together and then separate those spaces. The work happens in the office, the cuddling, the watching of movies, the Netflix and chill happens, and, elsewhere. So
Yeah, those physical spaces are really important too. It's been helpful for us because when COVID first hit, we didn't even have our own office spaces, really. At least they weren't set up.
right.
And so then we had to get everything set up so that we actually had a space instead of working from the dining room or any other random locations. And so that's our workspace. And then once we come out here, the hard part is not talking about work, even if we don't have our laptops.
I always say this: if we have our phone, it's pretty much like having our laptop.
Exactly.
So, number 3 is having an outside source or mentor that you can go to for your marriage. We have introduced you to Mr. Barnhill, who counsels us on our marriage. And we are huge proponents of having coaches, mentors, trainers, people that I don't know all the answers. And I look at having a coach as someone who is giving me the answers to the test. So Barnhill has definitely helped us with that. And I would encourage you, reach out to Barnhill, reach out to someone else, but rest assured you don't know all the answers, and someone else needs to have that third party view and speak into hey, look, you're being a knucklehead. She's right. And that's all our sessions are, is Barnhill telling us that.
Well, also, I think just having other people outside of your marriage, like Cole, you said, that you can go to, and having your own identity. And, that's part of the thing, too, is that when you're with each other all the time, you tend to just weekends, nights, everything. So you have your own, whether it's your own gym, whether it's your own friends, having some time where you guys can take a little break and, talk things out. I think that's been really helpful as well.
Yeah, definitely. The environment that's been created by COVID, by quarantine, is that it's not that you're having more disagreements, and it might be numerically you're having more disagreements or more arguments, but it's only because the amount of time that you're together is way more. A lot of people are like, well, I'm finding out that I don't like them that much. I don't think that's the case. I just think that you're statistically around them a lot more, and there's a lot more to disagree about.
There's more opportunities for things like that. So everyone's going to have conflict, right? That's just part of relationships. It's part of marriage. It's how you handle the conflict. And so that's what Dr. Barnhill has helped us with. That's something that we've learned over the years, is how to handle it respectfully and be able to move on from that conflict instead of just ignoring it, or instead of it turning into something it shouldn't turn into.
Probably the biggest help Barnhill has really spoken into our marriage, into our lives, is communication. And a lot of people, working with their spouse or their significant other in the same roof, in the same space. Yes, have your separate spaces, have your own thing going on, respect one another, but the communication is absolutely key. And, there's a big temptation for me to separate, if we have a disagreement, to say, hey, look, I'm just going to separate and not say anything, and I'm going to shut off. Whereas we've really worked very hard on that. And I feel like that has bettered our marriage, bettered our communication, and overall cut down on silly arguments, fights, or at least shorten the time that we've been upset with one another.
That's a good point. I think the biggest thing when working with your spouse, whether that's in the same home or in the same business, is respect. I think that, the way that you would treat a coworker, that's how you need to treat your spouse. Sometimes you're just so familiar with each other, you just snap, or you say things you would never say to someone else. And so I think taking a step back every day to, internalize and to process your feelings. And that way, whenever you do get upset, you're not snapping at that person. I think for us, respecting boundaries, respecting each other's spaces, respecting, their role within the business, I think that that's something that's super important, because if you're disrespectful, you can't work with each other. Saying thank you and smiling goes a really long way. I think some of the benefits, some people say, well, I could never work with my spouse. And, we've made it work. We actually enjoy working together. So I think that's been a positive thing for us. We get to spend more quality time with each other. We both have the same crazy schedules. So we're, able to kind of be on the same page with our schedules. And then I think that just being able to combine our forces into one has been really positive. We each have our own strengths and weaknesses, as in most married couples do. They're usually opposites attract. Yep. And that's the same for us. So for us to be able to come together as a couple and run a business together, the fact that we each have our own things that we bring to the table to make a successful business, I think is just super important and it's been really helpful for us.
It really has been. And you know, when you're gone away, like on appointments, or I'm gone away on appointments, we come back home, we're like, I missed you.
We're not used to being hours apart from each other.
Well, good deal. Well, I hope that that was helpful in some way, shape, or form. Really, that is what we have come to discover, during this time. And I know that a lot of people have been like, man, like they've never really worked together. Kelly and I've been doing this for a while, so it was nothing really new to us. But we figured we'd share some of these things. Hopefully, if you've ever encountered any of these things, maybe difficulties working together, hopefully there's a solution here or there.
Thanks for joining us again this week. I hope this was helpful. I know it's very different than just our normal real estate chat, but hopefully it was helpful. But if you do have any real estate needs in the Houston area, the Bridge Group is always here to help. It's a crazy market right now. We love to walk you through the steps of selling or buying in this market. So please reach out to us and y'all have a great week.